And we're live. Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Code and Create. We're today a bit later than normal. That's because our very lovely guest is based out in the States, over in Virginia. So we've pumped it later a little bit, a few hours later to benefit Paul, so he's not going to get up too early and get involved in this. But we're going to be focusing today more on the creative side of things. We've focused a lot on the code side, so now it's time to do a bit of the create side, if you like. So yeah, really excited to have Paul with us today. How you doing, Paul?
I'm great. Thanks for not making me wake up too early.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So here's Virginia. You're in, Paul. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm in Virginia.
What's it like over there at the moment?
Hot, humid.
Yeah,
staying inside a lot.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah. So today's session is going to be around Adobe XD. So Paul's actually working for Adobe. So he's going to give us an overview, really, of the application itself, the main purposes of it, some really cool design features, and he's going to give us a little bit of a demo as well, which is going to be really cool. So excited for that. Do you want to give us a little bit about your background, Paul?
Yeah, sure. I've been at Adobe for 5 years now, and my first 4 years I was the user experience consultant, and I did some front end development. And then for the last year, I've been a solution consultant for the Creative Cloud applications, and I basically do a lot of demonstrations and seminars and webinars and show people all the cool stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So you're the perfect person to give us a little tour of Adobe XD there.
Yeah.
So guys, if you've watched before, you know what to do. But if you haven't and you're watching on Crowdcast, there's Ask a Question tab below. So get your questions in for Paul. We'll try and get round to all of them. Anything you want to ask Paul. There's a chat bar on the side as well. You can get involved in that. Let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always nice to see. If you're watching on LinkedIn Live, then get your questions in down below, and we'll try and monitor that as well and get round to them as best we can, really, at the end. If you're watching not live on YouTube, then unfortunately it's too late. Make sure you watch live so you can get involved in the QA. So, Paul, should we get started?
Yeah, sure. I noticed there's already beer and pizza in the chat. That's pretty cool. But
well,
I guess
we do try
we'll come back to that.
Yeah, exactly. We're making an effort to supply refreshments, even if it is in emotional.
I like it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen then and show you guys what's going on with XD. Cool. Show, share. All right. Okay. All right. So everyone is seeing this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I am. I think if no one's if anyone's having trouble seeing this, by the way, just pop it in the chat bar, and we'll get Paul to adjust it.
Yeah.
But it looks good, I think, Paul, at the moment.
Okay, great. So XD, if you've not heard of it, is relatively new to the Creative Cloud, and that stands for Experience Design. It's made for doing the user experience and websites and mobile apps and things like that. And it's basically, its purpose was to design a prototype and then share that design. And compared to some of the other Adobe apps, you might notice it's a lot simpler. There isn't a whole lot of palettes and things going on. Like if you're used to Photoshop or After Effects, there's a lot there to see when you first open it up. This one is relatively simple. Initially, here we have these couple of drawing tools. We got our our little square, circle, triangle, pen, and our line tools. And then a text tool, and then the artboard tool. And this is a zoom, not a search. So it's really based on this giant artboard. So if I zoom out, I have this whole big world that I can design my stuff in, and you can move things around. And what you do essentially is create an artboard, and there's a lot of pre-done sizes here. So you have mobiles, tablets, desktops, social media. There's even watch faces down there. And so those are.
If you're designing something, sorry, Paul. So if you're designing something, you can just straight away, you've got the size and format for whatever device you're
Yeah, so you don't have to guess. You're like, I know you're not committing to memory what the size of a Twitter post is, hopefully, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So I like that. And then what I've done here is I took a screenshot of the Adobe homepage from yesterday. So this is just a solid screenshot. You can all see this here. And every time that I click on something, you'll see on the right side, we have a contextual menu that will change based on what I'm doing, right? And then additionally here on the bottom of this left bar, there's some assets and there's layers, and this operates just like a lot of the other Adobe applications. There's always the layers and then a sub layer to that. And then there's some plugins, which I'll show you what some of them are. There's some third-party companies that make things to extend XD and do other functions. It's really cool. But I'm going to click on this. And one of the use cases I was thinking of was for design is if you had an existing page and you wanted to like do some changes to it and you wanted to just kind of work with your people to see what that would look like. So you can mask, which makes things really easy. Instead of having to recreate the nav bar and the footer, I'm going to make some duplicates of this and then mask it so we can do a, and I'm just using the shift and the drag, and that will help me create a duplicate copy of that. So if I come over and drag this, my rectangle here, I can make a square over this. And now I'm going to go to this here object and see it says, I want to, oh wait, select them both. Oops. There. I'm going to select them both. And now in this under magic object, you got mask. So now I have like this header, right? So if I click this plus sign on components, I can have a header right here. And I recommend naming them because this is actually searchable. So if I'm wondering what this was, if I wanted to like menu, see if I start to type it, it will, if you get a lot of components there, you'll get that, right? So I can get this off my screen now. And then let me zoom out back down here. I'm going to make another one of the footer, and then I just draw a square here. That, and we're ending right here. Okay, cool. So if I select the two of those, I go to the object mask, and this is the shortcut key, by the way. This Shift plus Command plus M will make that. So now I have that too, right? So I made a footer component. And so now if I wanted to make a change here, like I said, I drew out those shapes again, but I could draw another artboard with this artboard tool. You can just draw one if you want, but you also have the pre-designed sizes. So if one of those doesn't work for you, you can change them as well. I was just duplicating it myself. But what I've got now, I can take the header and I can drag that out.
I see.
And I got a footer.
Super easy, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so now any kind of content that I want to put in this, I can go ahead and start to change things up now, right?
Right.
And so then you also have these assets will let you, if I had a box, say I make a box here, and that purple color was important to me. Now you just click that, and it's going to automatically change it. So you don't have to look up stuff. So you can imagine if this is going to become your style guide for your company, this is a really powerful feature, because when you share this out, this file, everyone will have these components, and they'll know they're a component because they'll see this. See how this one has got a green. See, the green bounding box lets me know it's a component versus this is just a regular blue box that I made with a regular one. So to show you what it looks like when, let me show you a really crazy one here. This. So like this is a wireframe UI kit.
Yeah.
And you can see we have screens for settings, contact, payment, checkout.
Can you zoom in a little bit on that, Paul, for us? That's it. Thank you.
Sure. So these are all like contact screens that you might have for a phone, like design options, right?
Right. Okay.
And this is intended for wireframing. But if I want to make sure that everyone has the same thing here, look, I have the character styles, I have all those colors, I have all these components. And see what I mean about it's not helpful if they're called symbol 139. That's not really helpful.
Yeah.
But if you have, let's call this favorite. There. So now if I'm inside of all this and I hit favorite, now I know I have the favorite component if someone was working on this. So that's where this kind of thing ends up becoming really powerful to make something, keep everybody on brand, stuff like that.
So these clipboards are shared then, Paul. So everyone in the design team can come in and
it could be. Yeah. So let me show you how that share works then. Is
okay.
Daniela there? I have one of my friends in the background. We have a plant.
Oh, she's here. She's just commented on the chat box saying that she's here. So
awesome.
Cool.
So this is a project that I was doing, and it was so this was like a live thing, and just to see beyond just the mock-ups that you can do, it's also good for planning. And I had notes from meetings and stuff like that, but I kind of made this user journey thing. Like this is a project for within the airports, and so we had these different sections what they're going to be doing, and we wanted to focus on these areas. And then I was able to make a sitemap of what was going to happen here. And so that's not particularly something of the, that I need to show the developers maybe, or maybe the managers don't care, but the developers probably would, right?
Yeah.
So once I finally got into the screens, I can be working with another designer. And so up here, that's the share piece of this, right? There's the share, but there's a collaboration in the design process. So if you click on that, our little person there. So I've added Daniela, and you can add, I've not heard a number, but I think I've done as many as a dozen.
Okay.
And it says it's in beta, which I think is why they don't put a number on it. Maybe they're still testing it, but the co-editing is enabled. And so I'm here, and I've created the color scheme. I have a couple of character styles, and we can see Daniela here working, right?
I see, yeah.
She's doing that. I took no hands. And so she's there making that change, and I can come over here and make changes at the same exact time. So that makes for a really dynamic design experience, right?
Yeah, definitely. Have you found that useful with obviously what's happening at the moment and everyone's working from home? And
it's been super useful.
Yeah, I imagine this is like it's just ideal for this type of situation, right?
Yeah. So remember I was showing you this giant thing. Imagine this being a giant whiteboard in your office, and everybody could just come in and start typing notes and drawing pictures and doing stuff. It's been, it wasn't intended for that. In fact,
of course,
the collaboration was a relatively new addition, but it's quickly become that, especially in this time with everyone quarantined and at home, working from home and stuff like that. So
yeah, exactly.
Then for the prototype piece of this here, which is this tab, you'll see you basically make connectors. You select a screen and say what you want it to do, where you want it to go. And so see this here, if I when I've clicked on that, I clicked on this touch more screen, but I can use this one too and just click it and drag where I want it to go. And then over here on the right, you have the triggers. So like I can do a tap, I could drag. There's a time where you give it a delay, say like after 10 seconds, then do a thing. It has, it supports game pads. I know we've had people from Sony, they were using, doing PlayStation design stuff and using this.
Really? That's interesting.
And then voice, they're also doing support for if you've got like an Alexa or a Google thing.
Right.
And you want to say, hey, you record your voice in this. And then when someone says it, it's listening when you do the preview. And it's pretty awesome.
Right. Okay. That's
so then,
cool. Do you use that much, the voice activated stuff, the Alexa stuff?
I like personally at home, I do have one of those Echo things, but it's not one of the ones that has the screen. So
Yeah.
we're just playing with it in the office, though. We made some fun little apps just to try it out.
Yeah.
It does work.
Yeah. I've literally just triggered my Alexa behind the laptop from saying that. So
All right.
I won't mention her name again.
Okay. So once you've decided what the trigger is, then you have a transition type, and there's a couple of different ones here. Some of them are intended to emulate like something just happening automatically when you go to a screen. There's some overlay things that will look like an automation. Something will play back a speech or trigger an audio file. And then you choose the destination, which is the name of these artboards. See, I have here table of contents. And so if you look on this one, so this was a project for inside of an airport. We were doing these kiosks. See, and they're pretty large. It's like the size of a person. And then inside of the screen, here's another one. And so it was intended to have some additional information for the travelers, right? So what we did was we had the menu, and you can see where it's going. See all the little streams where it's going. You click on this one, and where's this one going? There's all the different, they go back, right? So when I hit this play button up here, we get the play button. If I hit, let me select, you got to select the main thing and then hit play. And is everyone seeing that? There's like,
Just come up, the little pop-up,
Okay, so now when I click on it, it goes to this screen here, and this is here. There's this, did you know? You're like, oh, okay, cool. Some information there, some information about the airport.
Right, yeah.
And this was definitely not a fancy thing. It was just a gigantic screen that people touch, and they read, and then they touch and read. So this is a good one, but you can get pretty complex animations and triggers and all those actions happening. This was just an easy one to demo. I knew it worked. I made it. And so that's cool. But also, if you want to share this stuff, so that's like the next piece of this, right? The share. What it does is it creates a new link. If you say new link or manage links, you have some options here. Let me see if I can zoom into this. So there's design, development, presentation, user, and custom. And actually, these are actually very new. But what they do is they'll present something different. So if it's a design review, they'll be able to comment. And if you weren't sure on where to click, it'll have the hint when you're playing it, where to touch. And if you have like development, then you'll also get the ability to download assets and some design specs. And so I know this is code and create. So let me go and show you what that looks like. I have here. Oops, wrong browser. I think I saved the URL here. Not that one.
Do you ever get lost with some of these clipboards where they're so big and there's so much information on there? Do you ever get like lose some stuff on there and try and find it?
I do. So this was the development one, right? This is what it's looking like here. You can actually zoom this to see the whole thing. And so if you've used Acrobat or any of like the document cloud stuff, we have the same commenting feature here. So like, so I can have a string there. You can add somebody. I don't know. And that'll alert them, right? And then you can have a question. And what happens is if you had a question for somebody, they'd have the ability to reply.
I see.
And if it was like an issue or something, you can click that was resolved, and it will, just kind of go away, which is kind of cool if you're in review process, right? They're like, get rid of that check mark. We don't really want that check mark as part of the pre thing. Okay, so you could go back and reload it and do that. And then in this, this is what it meant by development stuff. So if you're Yeah, it tells you what your viewport design size was. You can download these assets directly from here. It has your color palettes, and you can, you know, some of this. So this is useful for the CSS part of it, right? That's
Yeah.
your color palettes, your style for the fonts and all that good stuff. And then this piece here is begging me to click it. So see,
I
so
see. Right.
here's some of that, right? So it's not spitting out code. It's not gonna like make an interactive HTML thing or nothing like that. And here's the thing: you can download the CSS, you can download the variables, and
That's
you can
cool.
click.
So it's quite developer friendly as well.
Yeah, I think that was part of the goal, right? You want to
Yeah.
be able to demonstrate the functionality before a developer spends a bunch of time trying to make something happen. You're like, that's not at all what we wanted.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal of this, to present
Yeah,
to
I hear
prevent
those
that.
stories. Yeah, I hear those stories every time, all the time, should I say, with developers and designers, and it seems, yeah, this seems to almost bridge that gap somewhat, I guess.
Yeah, that's part of the goal too. So I should mention this here. See, it's got this phone here. It says device preview.
Yeah,
So there's a mobile app, but it's not really an XD. It's more of a functioning XD. It's more of a viewer. And so if you connect your phone to this, you can send this project to your phone. And so
what, just
essentially,
as a preview, or
yeah. So you know how I was doing this prototype when I launched this? I'm
yes,
seeing it here, but I could actually do it on my phone or my tablet or whatever. And so that way, if this was like a mobile app and you wanted to really see how it's going to work on the phone, look in this exact viewport. It supports that too, so you can
so
use that.
so even though the preview you gave there for that airport screen, which was obviously large, that will
Hmm.
come up fine on your mobile,
Correct. Yeah.
right? Okay.
And part of the one of the, I guess, a warning is if you spend a lot of time on the prototype and you show that to someone, a lot of clients think it's done because you can get that real. And
Yeah.
you're like, so then when you say, what's the timeline? You're like, oh, it'll be another 6 months. And they're like, you just showed it to me. So beware of that.
It
um,
makes it look too good almost, as a
yeah,
prototype. Yeah.
it's scary. Scary good. So some of the things that are available for this type of thing are, let me come back to here. I had one EPS XD demo homepage, wires. Oh, that was wires. There are a lot of UI kits already available. Like I showed this. I don't know who spent that time doing it, but like, thank you, that person, because this comes in pretty handy. I mean, you see all the different things that are here, and so if you're like an Apple developer or an Android or iOS developer, they have UI kits already for this.
Yeah.
So all those assets are there. You just drag them out onto your thing. Very handy. And then there's also, yeah, there's a lot of people just playing and making just fun stuff that you could use as inspiration. One of the things I like to do, I did this project for in California, and you can see I had a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah.
But what it is I had like the original website here, um, and notes from the meetings, and then I started to make a style guide, and I was coming up with stuff here, and then I started kind of mocking up ideas and had some like templates because this was
Yeah.
for a content management system that worked on templates. So started doing that, and then you can see just how much space, like I said, a giant brainstorming place, right? And then even had like a sitemap for this one. And since I had all this content and I was presenting it to their stakeholders, I just had the ongoing presentation too. So every time I presented, I would just select these and export the slides because here at
Right.
the
Yeah.
end, I had this stuff in it. And so if you select, if you select these, I can hold shift and click and add these. You have the ability to export. And so I can select those artboards or all artboards or just the selected ones, and it'll go out as JPEGs or PDF.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so it worked well for me as a presentation tool. Since my content was here, I didn't have to go from like Photoshop and bring it
Yeah.
into, InDesign or PowerPoint or whatever. And that's pretty handy
Yeah, that is
stuff.
pretty cool. One thing I wanted to ask actually, based on earlier when Daniela joined you. So
Yeah.
when you share your the clipboards and people can come in and adjust anything they want.
Yeah.
Do you have any problems there with sometimes when people come in and adjust stuff that you've done
Yeah,
necessarily,
not that
or
I've seen. I mean, we haven't run into any conflicts.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so we haven't had two people can't select the same thing. Like Daniela was working on that particular
yeah.
screen with the jackets, and if I tried to select it, it wouldn't let me. And
Right, okay.
I believe there's a warning. It pops up. It says, "Hey, that person is working on this."
I see.
Um,
Okay.
and then if you want, you can go in there and you can remove a person from the thing too. So you could be like,
Oh,
you're
that's handy.
you're
Yeah,
fired. Um, I'll do this alone.
yeah,
Um, so some of the cool features. So that was kind of you got a little overview of the tools. Some of this
yeah.
contextual menu on the right that are layers. Um, I want to show you some of the things that help, like really make the building faster, right? So I brought in some things here. So I was going to show you this because I think it's pretty awesome. These okay, we have this here. Make this bigger. Fill the screen. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to make another one of these, just a smaller one. Actually, I want it to be the size of this though. So just use this to kind of trace
Yeah.
trace my thing here. All right, cool. So you saw that masking that I did to create the footer and
Yeah.
the navigation header. So also, while something is selected, suppose I have some images here, and I wanted to, while something is selected on here, I can drag an image, and it just fills in. So it's already
Right.
masked. So I have a brand new header already, right? So then, suppose I have this, and a really common pattern, right? Maybe this is like a lot of websites have this where there's this tile and it has an overlay thing here, and it has a text. It has, let me type a text here. Then, so now that I have that though, I can click this style, and now it's the right style, right? Oh,
Right.
so,
Okay. Yeah.
so that's nice. So I'm going to put that on here as well. And then I also have a button. So I made this button earlier. This was part of that learn more thing. So, okay. So that's essentially what this was, right? This thing, here's my button. But let me line this up. Those things, you have some alignment tools here, pretty handy. No, those things are there. But you see how I have 3 of them here, and I could copy and paste it, or click the Alt key and drag it. But if I select this whole thing, we have this tool here called the repeat grid, this thing right here, and it's just magical. When I click repeat grid, see, now I have these different handles. This one I can drag up and down. And so I want to make, let's do a row of 3 here. And then if you hover here in the middle, that pink space, I can increase the padding in there. And then maybe I want to add some more of these here. Let's go down to 9. Okay. Then let me move my footer. I can drag my footer down, and I can increase the whole size of the artboard entirely. If I just double click it, it gives me the bounding box, and I can say, "Hey, bounding box, come all the way down."
That is super simple, isn't it?
It is. But suppose now this is like a product, or maybe you had like you're trying to sell something, and you want to put the stuff in here to make it a little more realistic. So while that is selected, I have see selected. I can click and drag 9 of these images, and so it put all the images in there, all just all the ones I chose, just bloop, plop them in, and then so I have my text called animals. So if I select the text, I select the one of those, and I drag this text file onto it. See, now I have here
animal names, yeah.
Now I have all the names of those. So that could be your lorem ipsum text or your whatever, right? And then so now I have this, right? And then someone's like, I don't like the blue button. Can we change the blue? And so if you click in here and say edit main component, I can let's make it so everyone can see the buttons. So this is my main component, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit and click and click. So here's the fill color. Now I can be like, we're going to go with red buttons. And so you see how all my buttons just became red now?
Yeah.
So that kind of thing is really, oops, I just deleted part of it too. That kind of thing is what makes the whole design of this very powerful. I think, for the repetitive patterns, which all websites these days are just rows and columns, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So like I just did a whole extra thing of that now. And then suppose now they're like, we want to see a tablet version of this. So let's get like this iPad Pro 11. And then I can take this same thing. I can just hit the drag and copy that. And I can just bring it down, and it goes here. And I have that,
Right.
I should mention, see when I select this, there we go. When I'm in here, you see this dotted line?
Yeah.
That indicates where the scrolling height is. So here on the right, I got scrolling vertical 1080. So just to exaggerate it a little bit, I can move it up. So if this is selected and we hit play, you'll have some scrolling action here like that.
I see.
Also.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of like things that you can do like that. They've added like things like hover, and so if I took I came in, actually let me use the actual, let's draw a new thing entirely.
Yeah.
That's here, that, and then say that's a button, and then I hit this, and now you can hit hover state, and so now I can just maybe it's red now, so now it has that back there. And then if I want to use this on something, hit play. Now I have this hover state, see?
Right, okay.
So that was actually relatively new too. When it took a long time for us to get to hover state, not sure why. But for websites, that was like a necessary thing. It wasn't as much for mobile, right? But
yeah. So XD, was it released January last year? Was it roughly about 18 months ago?
Actually, I think it was out in 17.
Oh, was it really? Okay.
Yeah, because I was doing the UX work at Adobe, and I was using Photoshop, and a lot of people I think were using Photoshop, and you'd have layers, and you'd make layer comps, and you'd turn stuff off and on, and you try to export it as a PDF, or have somebody look over your shoulder to see the variations in the layer comps, and that's a pain.
Yeah.
And so then this was born, early on, and they were quickly adding functionality to it, and maybe there was a big push in January, but
well, I'm gonna have to blame Google then, because I was trying to do a little bit of homework, and Google told me the initial release was January 2019. But I never trust Google all the time.
Oh, you said 19. 19.
Yeah.
It was definitely older than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Never trust Google then. But and the point I was getting at was just, I mean, in terms of how often are the features sort of updated? How often they're new features?
That's a good
Is
question.
that like an ongoing thing?
It is, and I some of the resources I think I sent. I sent some resources to y'all. There's actually I put here, didn't I? Where's the? Is this it? I think this is the link. Let's see. Yeah, this. They're actually the team is really busy. I want to say like every couple of weeks they're doing 2-week sprints,
Right.
and they're putting out new stuff, new updates. And one thing to note, if you're going to do the co-editing, it is pretty finicky that about everyone having the latest thing. So if it said update today and you updated it yesterday, everyone needs an update from today's update, and then it'll work properly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And so th- uh, there's a lot of like support for this from Adobe for this particular app, and it has tons of stuff. So there's like a full blown, is it Let's XD? I think Let's XD.com. So there's a blog and lots of learning and freebies, resources, stuff like that. And actually, I should mention that some of these are the plugins I was mentioning. So if you
Yeah.
go over to here, it looks like a little Lego block, the plugin. And I had some, but today's update removed my plugins. So
Oh,
we have some of them here. And yeah, so they have based on kind of categories. Something that was really useful for me as a UI designer was Stark. I used Stark because it would do that contrast test for me for colors, for like the visual, like colorblind things like that.
right. Okay.
And I haven't inspected very many of these, but that was one that I was using a couple of years ago with Stark, and that's a really useful one. There's like the one that fills in the lorem ipsum text. There's some that will create user personas for you, and like a lot of stuff. It's pretty cool. They have I liked actually I had brought this one up because I wanted to show this is part of the Sheets. It's called Sheets by Google.
Okay.
And I made this CSV file, and you can see in our office that year we had like people, there was a poll of who like the best Christmas movies. And so
Okay. It's obviously
um
Elf, but carry on.
yeah, yeah. Right. And so I took the links from these are links to images, and then these are the names of the movies. And inside of this file, I made XD. I made one of these. See, this is my what do you call this? I made one of these repeat grids with these assets, the number, and then what it created was, let me split that out, show the screen here. What it ended up creating was this list, and it brought in the URL from the movie and the title, and so
Right. That's cool.
that's pretty neat. If one of your collaborations was somebody doing some research or getting some data, and you needed that to populate a graph or an image, in this case, that's a really good collaboration feature as well.
So just out of interest, is that the actual is that the final scoring, is it, of the of
I think this is what came out of our office. Yeah, that year. Yeah.
Die Hard? Is that a Christmas film? I think that's always a debate there, isn't
It
there?
is.
We won't get
Yeah.
into that just yet, seeing as it's still July, but yeah.
Yeah. But that's a cool one. That's a really great plugin for that. I'm trying to think.
I assume there's quite a lot of plugins that you can choose, right?
Yeah.
And
A
then
lot
these are
of
all.
them.
Sorry,
Huh?
you can find these all via the what you just showed us, that link you just showed us, yeah.
Oh, yeah. How do I get back to there? Yeah. Yeah.
I
Right
see
here.
it.
The plugins. Yeah.
And these are all free. If you're subscribed to XD, they're all free. Are these, or
I
they're paid
think.
ones?
Uh. Uh. I think I came across one that was charging. If you did the prototype, it was this company wanted to create the code from that, and they were charging. But
Right. Okay.
all of the things that I've been using were free.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. I'll just check on the polls actually
Yeah, any
that
questions
we've
going
got
on?
in. Well, we put out the polls at the start, so we've got who's watching, a few designers, developers, manager.
Okay.
Um, the one that I'm interested in actually was we discussed it a little bit earlier. How is your current form of communication working out between designers and developers? And
Yeah.
100% of the votes put meh. It works
Yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes it
Right.
works.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. And obviously we touched on that earlier. And yourself, I guess, well, you must have seen obviously both sides of it, starting as a developer, as a front end developer, and then obviously moving more into design. Do you
Yeah.
have more of a not a soft spot, I guess, but a better understanding of where developers come
Yeah,
from?
it's like an empathy kind of for them.
Empathy, that's the word I was
Yeah,
looking for. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I wasn't. Um, I kind of, I like, I really suck at the development, but I was like just good enough to kind of get it started. But I did understand that it's not the same brain going on, right? You have your designers try to tell the developer something, and it just doesn't click.
Yeah,
Whatever, what,
definitely.
or vice versa, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I think this really helped when you can really demonstrate it's going to slide this way, it's going to have this hover effect, and this is going to move over that way. That kind of thing, I think, was a helpful piece of that.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. Um, yeah, we've got a question actually,
okay, cool.
Paul,
Yeah.
which is from LinkedIn. I'm not too sure who asked it,
Oh
um,
yeah.
but it says you can see it on your screen there. I'll just
Yeah, I see that.
can we compare Adobe XD versus Sketch? What are your
I,
thoughts on
I
that,
have
Paul?
not used it. I mean,
I was going to say, I mean, I guess you're quite obviously working for Adobe, so you might be slightly biased in
yeah,
any case. But you never use Sketch. Is Figma as well? I think is another.
Figma. When when I started, and XD wasn't a thing that existed, I did my designs in Photoshop, and when I
I've
wanted to make
actually, sorry, Paul,
prototypes,
lost you
oh,
on video.
oh,
I
video.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's just me
Hmm.
um,
Can you hear me though?
or I can hear you. Just
Okay.
can't see you, unfortunately.
Hmm.
That's fine. Good. Anyway,
Okay.
carry on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No problem. When before XD was alive, I was using InVision to do the prototypes,
Okay.
and I was good at using it. Yeah. And I didn't. I was using that for probably a whole year before XD got to where I could use it. But I know if you have sketch files, you can bring them in because it'll make, I don't know what the word is that Sketch uses, but those assets that XD has, whatever Sketch is equivalent, will become an asset, and they can be used the same. I've opened it once, but I've never actually used it now.
Oh, that's fair enough. I mean, do you ever hear about like this sort of, I don't know, the products that they're using and some of the features they
Yes.
have and stuff like that, and you think, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
steal that one.
Yeah. Not so much since I'm not really in the UX world anymore. I don't
Yeah,
pay attention to those things as much because now my scope is more the whole Creative Cloud.
yeah,
So I've only got so much time in the day, but I know that the people that make XD at Adobe, they actually use XD to make XD. This is very meta way of using it and coming up with these things that were necessary. And I know that they're all UX professionals and they are aware of other tools, but not me personally.
right, okay, cool. And I guess from a sort of junior's perspective, if there's a sort of junior designer coming through, would you recommend XD? I mean, it seems simple enough I'm sure it's not as simple as you made it look just then, but would
I,
you recommend it
I
for
would.
someone
I
junior?
think it is actually that easy.
Okay,
I'm I was proud because I've converted Daniela from using Photoshop. She was still stuck in Photoshop,
right.
and now if you bring your Photoshop design into here, the layers will be maintained. So it's easy to create assets from those things and iterate on them. And yeah, it is pretty easy. I think that's part of it. It is very fast application, and it is easy, and it does those basic things very well.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the most important things, right? When you're making these things, and I guess some of the time when some people might be a bit apprehensive to transition from one tool or software to
Right.
another, but it sounds
Yeah.
like Adobe makes it fairly easy to transfer, existing
Yeah.
assets or whatever it may be over to Adobe.
That's true. And one thing I noticed, so like if you're using in some of our applications, I think it's beneficial to use, like if you're a video editor, it's and you're probably going to benefit more by using Photoshop as your graphic editor than another competing program because of the integration of those. Where
Right.
XD kind of stands alone, like it the things that you draw are vectors. You can drag in PNGs and SVG files, and it seems to be very like complete on its own. Like I don't know if you would benefit so much from using it with like it's harder for me to make that argument for XD, but unless you're using the cloud libraries, which let me show. Is my screen still showing?
It's not, but you can bring it back up again for sure.
Okay. Um, the cloud libraries are something that are also really powerful in these work from home days. Um, now we seeing it?
We are.
All right, cool. So I'll go back to XD. And here, this, go back to design. This little thing, right? It's really small, right? That little thing, CC libraries. So if I open this up, I have a couple of different libraries here. And so like if I have one here of the different icons and stuff from this. So it's kind of similar to the assets, except that the assets in here are linked to the things that you're designing, where this is a different type of thing that goes across all the Adobe applications. So if I wanted to use this portfolio thing, I could just drag it out and now I have it, right? And if someone changes it in the library, it'll update wherever it's been used.
Right.
But otherwise, I really think that XD stands alone on its own pretty well. I find myself using it a lot. Like, don't tell Photoshop, but it's kind of becoming my favorite.
I won't say anything. Hopefully, no one's watching from Photoshop. Yes, I mean, I think it's given us a good overview there of just how simple it is. Really, I'm amazed how simple it looks to use. Maybe I'll have a play around a bit myself sometime, but yeah, I really appreciate you joining us and showing us that, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So yeah, I mean, we might get some more questions flowing in. If you do, just reach out to us. We'll try and get back to you at some point. I know a lot of people watch this after the fact, after it's
Okay.
live. So yeah, join us next time, guys. Keep an eye on our Orbis Connect YouTube channel and our Orbis Consultants LinkedIn page, and I share loads of stuff as well. This whole session will be available to watch back probably by tomorrow on LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel. I'll share it on my Facebook page as well. And Paul, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's been cool.
Been an absolute pleasure. And thanks, Daniela, if you're still live, for helping us out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there she is. Yeah, stay safe, guys. Paul, I'll speak to you soon, hopefully.
Yep.
See you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.